Should I do an impromptu review of A Link to the Past? Guys, this credit scene is... Hey, it's the old mountain man. Wait, I thought the flute boy died. Did he not die? We saw him turn into a tree. Venus, Queen of Fairies. Vanilla. Vanilla Link to the Past, 8 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Oh.
Yep.
That's harsh. It actually lacks replayability, which is weird coming from you. Why 6? Yeah, Ty's wondering why 6.
Because it's just one of those games that feel old and clunky. Like most old games do. I don't feel like most old games hold up nowadays.
Actually, I would... It's too difficult for Ark.
Too difficult? Nah. No. I just thought... I didn't really care for it. The Minish Cap was funner. I gave it a second chance after Cap was started playing it. And, Forever? The Master Sword doesn't sleep forever. What are you talking about, game?
I know, right? Lucian, you want to know what I think? I do think, that's because you're comparing it to games in this era.
Yes, which are better.
Ooh, I think that's this is one of those beauties in the eye of the beholder's moments, right? It's hard to, you can't really compare what is fun and what isn't, you know. Minish Cap is great, but better than Link to the Past. I do think that's actually I actually agree that is kind of a hot take. If that is your hot take, that's your hot take, but a lot of people would disagree with that. Get out of here. If I were to...
Okay, I'm leaving. Bye.
No.
I'm kidding.
You know, I do agree with Arcline on one point. This actually is old, and I do think that there were some game design elements that inhibited it from that. You can't compare then and now. It's not fair. Well, Ty, I would say yes and no. Because if you were to say what this game was like then, this game was like a 9 out of 10 back then, right? But if you were to compare it now to what games are, I disagree with Arclight that it's a 6, but I don't necessarily... I think I would give it like a 7.5. I don't think 8, it doesn't quite hit an 8 for me. You have to look at the time frame it came out in while wishing it has some of the modern improvements. Yeah. Honestly, the main modern improvement I would give it would... The only modern improvement I would give it, actually, would be in level design. We've gotten way better at pacing, and the UI is pretty god-awful. The UI could be better, too. I think if they had a better item system, that would have cleaned up some of the issue. But honestly, like... So I'm kind of getting into my review here. I actually do think this game still holds up to today's standards. I think it's harder to hold up But if this is a game that if it came out in today's time, I think it probably would have garnered some attention. Um, you just need item swap on L and R. Yeah, that would help out a lot. You can't compare the old telephone with the new iPhone. It really does hold up. Yeah. Now, another thing is that this game, I can see that a lot of games also. I mean, I say I can see, but it makes sense to me that.
If we're bringing up, so we just brought up the telephone and the new iPhone. The telephone is inferior in every way, and if you can't even get the old telephone anymore. So is that really a fair comparison? Compared to something you can still use today, and it's still in a way competing with games today? I don't know about that.
Well, here's the thing: that actually telephones you can still use the telephone today. It's just no one uses it because we have the cell phone, right?
I just mean they're not really that fair of a comparison.
Yeah, I do think that Ty's example kind of falls flat a little bit with the idea of like, yeah, you can't compare the old telephone with the new iPhone, but then if you use, he can flip that. ArcLight can flip that analogy around and just be like, well, who uses an old telephone, right? Everyone uses the new iPhone. I do think gaming is a different sphere, because so the biggest thing. Okay, let me go into like a lengthier discourse than I mean to. So the biggest thing that changed my mind about gaming in general was actually when Minecraft came out. Because back then, when Minecraft first came out, Minecraft came out in the middle of the console wars back then. But back then, the console wars were about graphics and power. And then you have this game Minecraft, which has got horrible graphics and doesn't need a lot of power at the time. And instantly my thought was just kind of like, this kind of destroys the concept of what is a good game. And what it means is that you don't necessarily need to have good graphics, and you don't necessarily need, and it doesn't even need to be the best. It doesn't even need to be the best gameplay either, for the gameplay to be an enjoyable experience. And so,
a question for you.
Yeah.
It says total games played 28. You played this game 28 times?
No, I'm assuming that's counting how many times I died.
Oh, okay, that's a fancy way of saying it. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, as I was saying, so I guess in a sense, I do want to. On one hand, I don't want to. I think that ArcLight can make his claim that this game is a 6 because it is old in comparison to what we have to today's standards. However, just because it is old and just because it is clunky, that doesn't necessarily mean it is not an enjoyable experience.
Look at it this way.
So,
I'll compare two games from the same time.
Yeah.
You have Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie. Banjo-Kazooie is very, very slow and clunky. But Mario 64 comes from around the same time and is really fast-paced and mechanically sound.
They're fun for very different reasons, though.
That's what I mean. Is like I think they can games compared to other games. That's what I'm saying. Like compared to other games of their time, it's different.
But
it's,
I think one thing that you're. Yeah, but Mario 64 is still fun to play, and Banjo-Kazooie is still fun to play. Those two hold up those two games still hold up to today's standards. Yes, they have their flaws, but they're still enjoyable in today's time. And I think the thing with this game is that because it's a completely different genre, it's a top-down 2D RPG action adventure. It's I don't think you can I don't think you can compare it to modern games when I guess what you have to compare likes with likes. All right. So what other top-down 2D action adventure games have we played that we can compare to a Link to the Past, right? Because when you're trying to compare a Link to the Past to say Mario 64, the problem is that those two games are completely different styles of games. And that's a kind
They're
of
the same genre, and that really isn't that really what matters? It's the same genre.
they're not the same genre. Mario 64 is a 3D platformer.
Isn't Banjo Kazooie also?
Banjo Kazooie is a 3D platformer, but they have different goals. So Mario 64 is more.
Mario 64 is collect the stars. Banjo Kazooie is collect the puzzle pieces.
Yes, but Banjo Kazooie. What am I trying to say? It's like, think about it like this. It's like they're both restaurants. They're both restaurants. They're both selling chicken, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're the same restaurant. One's Chick-fil-A, one's Popeyes. That's kind of the same thing, right? So Mario 64 is episodic. That's another thing too, right? So we're getting too deep into this. I wasn't expecting to get that deep into this. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. I guess I was trying to bridge the gap between both sides, and it's not really doing a good job. Um, Banjo Kazooie is more open world. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, Mario 64 has a hub world, and Banjo Kazooie has I is open world the right word? But I guess, but it's hard to describe what that is. Yeah. So I guess if I were to sum up, the definition of fun is very it depends on what you feel is the definition of fun. So, um now for me, I thought this game was fun. I think it is a 7.5 out of 10. I can't quite give it an 8. I do think it has some weaknesses that pull it back. Um and replayability, that was a good point. I
To
don't
be
think
fair, saying you
replayability
can't
hurts it.
compare those things is like saying, "Oh, this food was made in the 1500s." You can't compare it to something now, even though they're both served today, and you can buy both today and try them for yourself and see what you like better. If age isn't everything.
Not well. Gaming is kind of unique because gaming is you can actually play the same game that you played back then in today's standards. Food actually changes over time. Tomatoes back in the 1500s are actually different than tomatoes today. So beef is different back then than how beef is today. Just because of the type of food that's being eaten is different than the type of food that's being eaten today. Um, so yeah, there are ages in the gaming is a unique space where age actually um it doesn't matter as much because you can actually compare. And part of the reason why I thought of this is that it's actually one of the weird points that I consider about in trying to think that Ocarina of Time is potentially the greatest game of all time. Um, and then one of the factors is that can a game that was made then, if it were somehow made today, can it hold up to today's standards? Right. Now, here's the thing: is that we understand the weaknesses of back then. You kind of have to have both sides in your head, right? But if for some reason, like an indie development studio decided today, I'm gonna make a Link to the Past. If would a Link to the Past, if it was made brand new today, you know, would it at least hold up? Would it be enjoyable by today's standards? And I think everyone would probably say the same thing in general, that like they first off, they wouldn't compare the game to Mario because it's not Mario. They wouldn't they wouldn't compare it to even Hades. Hades is closer, but Hades is roguelike. That's different. Um, you have to compare this game to other top down stories. Um, and so the weaknesses of this game, the itemization, the is pretty bad. I think that I think the world map is a little confusing. I know you don't like it, but getting lost is actually, depending on the person, can be a pro or a con. Some people don't like their hand being held the entire time, and some people just like being able to wander around. So that's actually, as long as there's stuff to do, that's actually not a bad. That's actually not a con. It can go either way. Um, but I do think that and not only that, I do think that Link to the Past has a very bare bones story. It's decent. It's good. It's enjoyable, and it's a good enough story to set up for a sequence, right? Which they did. So, um, so yeah, I do think that if this game were made in today's time, that I don't think it would be as popular, but I do think that it would be enjoyable. I think people who bought it and played it would have a decent time. I don't think there would be too many issues. And again, I thought that I thought that I thought that the gameplay itself was, I wouldn't call it clunky. I thought that it was actually kind of smooth. I was surprised at how smooth it was for the type of game that it was. Um,
It's just so slow.
that's but uh that's a, I think that's a personal preference. So being slow or fast depends on the type of game that you're making. So I mean, there, yeah. Being fast is definitely has its place, but sometimes being slow, has its place as well. So, Ty, A Link to the Past is just a limited version of Breath of the Wild. Um, actually, if if I were to say so, if you want to know, I'm sure I've said this before. Ocarina of Time was actually supposed to be a remaster of Link to the Past, but in the process of remaking it, they completely revamped the game. So, A Link to the Past is technically just a limited version of Ocarina of Time. And then, if I want to get even deeper, I once read a quote from Nintendo explaining Zelda, and they said that all Zelda games are technically open world games. So, technically, every Zelda game in the past were just limited versions of a Breath of the Wild. So, yes, and how many layers deep do you want to go? Li Shan, 720. You have to have the freedom to get lost in order to make exploration meaningful, in my opinion. That's true. I think that's a good point. If you, I think that's kind of what like why Breath of the Wild was so I guess kind of amazing for me when I first played it, because when I first played Breath of the Wild for like 2 or 3 days, I was so bored. But then I forced myself to keep playing, but then all of a sudden, like, a switch flipped, and I was like, there's so much to find in this game. And so, and I never followed the storyline. I just kind of wandered wherever I wanted to go. It's funny, I actually accidentally skipped one of the cutscenes in the tutorial section. So, alright, and Ty, or how you learn to utilize the menu. Yeah. Lucian, I just wish Breath of the Wild didn't do away with proper dungeons. I can see that point. I was kind of disappointed with that as well. However, I would say, I guess my justification or cognitive dissonance is it feels to me like Breath of the Wild, the whole world is just one giant dungeon. So, um, it's kind of I think the shrine I think having better dungeons would have been more impactful, but I'm okay. I'm not upset. Ty, and the point of Metroidvanias and Zelda games is exploration. Yeah, the the point is exploration. They just have different styles of exploration. Metroidvania wants you to kind of like Zelda games is more like going out into an open world. Metroidvania is more like being a detective, making sure you found everything that you needed to find. Zelda tries to be more like just kind of wander and see if you can find what you need to find. So they're both about exploration. They're just different types of exploration. Lishan,
Wait, Ty, you play Metroidvanias too?
Lishan, I've only watched it, but from what I've seen, cut 60% of the shrines and add a couple of larger dungeons to explore. That would not be a bad idea, actually. Yeah, so if they had, if they, it, so I always thought if they just did 100 shrines instead of 120, that would have been nice. Because 120 was just a hair too much. But doing so like suppose they did 60 shrines and then just did four massive dungeons, that would have been nice. I think that would have been a nice in between. And I know they had the beasts, which were kind of dungeons, but kind of not, and they weren't satisfying enough. Yeah, Ty. Yes, the Metroid franchise. Mm-hmm. The Metroid are a Metroidvania. Now here's a question. Here's a question. Is Metroid Prime, the 3D Metroids, a Metroidvania title? Hmm. Hmm.
I have not played Prime in so long I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Prime One, absolutely. No, see, I think one of my hottest takes, gaming hot takes, is that Metroid Prime is actually closer to a Zelda game than an actual Metroidvania. So, because I didn't make that connection at first. When I first played Metroid Prime 1, I was like, this is so boring. But then I realized I was like, wait, I'm supposed to explore. I'm not supposed to run and gun. Oh. All right. Anyway, all right. Arclight, 6 out of 10 on Zelda. Link to the Past. Lee Shan says 8 out of 10. I think Ty agrees with 8 out of 10. I'm like 7.5. I think if if had more replayability, as a it probably would have bumped it up to 8 or even 8.5. Um, but I do think
To be,
replayability is kind of a big thing. So
to be fair, games back then didn't really have replayability.
that's true. That's true. They did not have replayability. Um, games back then, there's a concept called old Nintendo hard. It's a trope. Back then, in order for you to play the game for as long as possible, they had to make the game as difficult as possible. That's why in the first Zelda, well, that's partially. The other reason is that it helps save on data. Um,
Happy. There's a question in chat for you.
what is replayability? Okay, replayability is the ability to is how often you want to be able to play the game over and over and over again. Um, so now so it's like when you do like Minecraft and you're able to play that for a month because you know that would be like replayability, right? This game, it's better than a lot of games. Don't count me wrong, but you sit it you play it, and you can't really play it again and for an extended period of time because that's kind of replayability. So it's the how, or like Smash Bros. Smash Bros. Replayability is insane for me. I play that like almost every day. Yeah.
Oh, I just thought I'd add, just because you give something a 6 score doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
Like when you review stuff and stuff, 6 is still considered decent.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd add that.
Yeah.
It's not like I said a free or something.
That's true. Yeah. See, I think it was just more the shock of it. That's kind of a hot take I would say in the general gaming community. I would say the general gamers would probably give it a 7. Holy shit! Oh yeah, if you had given it a 3, I'd have been flipping tables. You're like, we about to fight now. All right. Anyway, guys, thanks for the discussion. I should probably bounce. I wasn't expecting this to go on for so long. Oh, but I need to get headed out and bouncing out. I need to sleep so I can go to work tomorrow. Ty, 6 is just above average. This game is better than that. Well, everyone has
That's
their
an
own
opinion.
Yeah, everyone has their own opinion on stuff. So, if I ever get around to it, I am making I have in the works a video idea of why I think Ocarina of Time is potentially the greatest game ever made.
Here we go again.
I know, right? And it actually goes in. It actually, I do talk about that because it combines a lot of different thoughts together. It combines a lot of different types of thoughts and subjects together. So, yeah. Anyway, that's on the back burner. We'll see if I actually ever get to that because my time sucks, and I'm always busy. True, that is an opinion, but aren't all of these rankings? Lee Shan, sounds like a great way to piss off Majora stands. There we go. How about I'll make the video. Majora's Mask is better than Ocarina of Time.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Okay, just end before we get this again.
Breath of the Wild is better as well. I'm just gonna sit in the corner in my obliviousness and eat popcorn. You know what? Before we start a big Twitch argument, I'm gonna I'm gonna keep I'm gonna turn on the pretty music. Help calm everyone down. Help everyone to relax. All right.
Well, okay. Anyways, Cap. Love you, homie. Take care.
Love you too. Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys next week. I'll be starting Minish Cap. And yeah, we'll have a good time. I'll talk to you guys later. And keep being awesome.
Bye.
Bye, Arclight.